Pick here. We are doing a Ravnica Flashback draft today. We missed 9th edition, which is both good news and bad news. The bad news is we missed one. The good news is we missed 9th edition. It plays a lot like 8th edition, except for any of the money cards are gone, and it's a little dull. Some people like those formats just because the power levels are pretty flat all the way across, which is a plus for me, but it's also very boring mechanically. Like, there's just not a lot of intriguing cards or intriguing interactions. You're just kind of trying to stall the board out and win with, like, a Grave Digger or, you know, a 3/3 flyer. That's kind of as far as it goes. But here we are in Ravnica. Ravnica's really cool. The card values have gone down quite a bit. You can see here in the set that the price change went from around 80 and it's around like 54 right now. So that's a pretty steep drop. It's because Ravnica's played a lot because it's a lot of fun. There's a few guilds going on here. There's Slanesia, which is green-white, and has the Convoke mechanic, so most of the big creatures. From green-white, there's Boros, which is red-white, which is the aggressive deck, and it's actually kind of like an aggressive Skies deck. It's actually really sweet. Then we have green-black, which has the best removal, and is a little bit slow, kind of grindy. It has the dredge mechanic, although you don't dredge too terribly much overall, but the mechanic itself was very prevalent in actual, like, constructed. And then finally, the best deck in this set, in my opinion, which is Dimir, which is blue-black, and it has Transmute, which you pay in a certain cost, usually, and you discard the card to search for your deck with the same converted mana cost. So you pay 3, discard a card that costs converted mana cost 4, and you search your deck for another 4-drop. So that's pretty powerful. Lets you tutor at common and uncommon. But more important than that, the mill effect is actually quite good. You can slow down the game. Ooh, here we go. We already started. Alright, so we've got Hammerfist Giant. We could take Veldican Entrancer. We could take Boros Garrison. We could take Slanesia Signet. I think I'd like to be... So this is a little tricky. The bounce lands are probably the most powerful commons in the set, followed by the Signets overall. Boros, in my opinion, is one of the weaker decks just because it has to come together in a certain way that's not necessarily super easy to do. But there's not a whole lot of other great cards here. I think Boros Garrison, Veldican Entrancer, the Signet, the Guardian, Snapping Drake, and Tattered Drake. Let's go ahead and take the Entrancer because I would like to be in blue-black. That's not a guarantee. I like Seeds of Strength, that's really cool, and Scattered Seeds. Those are both pretty strong cards. Drift of Phantasms is another card that's pretty exciting here. It's actually a pretty good pack. Swiftblade's okay, Karen Haller's fine, Nightmare Void's a pretty good one of. Drift is probably the card I'm going to go with, just because of the flexibility and the fact that actually it's a great blocker, and it basically blocks almost everything. Fangtail is pretty solid here too. Like, I could be convinced that I should be in red-white because Fangtail's the best red common. The Signet's solid. The Augur Mage is fine on the wheel. Scatter the Seeds and Seeds of Strength are pretty solid too. Alright. Alright, so we're definitely in the right colors here. Ribbons of Night might be one of the best uncommons. It's just super powerful. The fact that you get to kill a creature, gain 4 life, and draw a card often makes it essentially a 3-for-1, and that's super good for 5 mana. The other cards I would consider if Ribbons wasn't here is Infiltrator, Disembowel, Cleaning Darkness, and Rot Farm. Let's go ahead and take our Ribbons and be pretty happy where we're at. Alright, Vindictive Mob is 6 for a 5/5. We have to sacrifice a creature. Not sure if I like that at all. We could take another Drift here. We could take a Surveilling Sprite. But I think I'm going to take a Flight. Flight of Fancy is pretty nice. I think I'd rather have my first flight than my second drift. And if we get enough enchantments, things like Drake Familiar can be pretty solid too. Okay, so we have some options here. I like Peel from Reality and the second Entrancer. I think I'd rather have my second No. I think I'd rather have my first Peel than my second Entrancer. But I don't really want more than 2 Peels, and I'd like to have up to 3 Entrancers, so that's an interesting spot. The rest of these cards aren't particularly great. Bramble Elemental is definitely the strongest card overall here. Alright, Centaur Safeguard's fine. I like Consult. Muddle is okay without being great. Strands is okay without being great. Same for Tattered Drake. Okay. I also like the Consult the Necrosages is probably the best card here. It's pretty sweet. I mean, like, the deck itself is turning out quite well. I would like to pick up just more creatures in general. Our goal is to be able to win with, hey! Alright, so we have options. We could take Lurking Informant. We could take Brain Spoil. Brain Spoil is decent removal. Lurking Informant is the kind of card that's going to lock out your opponent from the game. We could try Spawnbroker, but I'm just not very familiar with the card overall. Basically, Spawnbroker lets you switch one of your higher power creatures with one of the lower power creatures, right? Yeah. Alright, well, I'm going to try the Lurking Informant just because I want more 2-drops and not more 5-drops. It is a little bit odd to take basically a deck manipulation card over a removal spell. Okay, so we could take Stasis Cell as the removal, Muddle the Mixture, sort of this kind of thing to transmute and counter stuff, Flow of Ideas, which if we have enough islands is pretty strong. Yeah, let's try Flow of Ideas. That's pretty powerful. Okay, well none of these cards are good. Let's take Boros Garrison in case we end up splashing. Boros might be super open, which would be pretty crazy to be that open. Alright, so we could take Carrion Howler or just a 3-1. I'm just going to take a 3-1. And also with mill, it means we can sometimes just mill away things that we don't want them to have. Alright, so Clinging Darkness or Dimir Infiltrator. I'm going to take the Infiltrator just because it blocks a little bit better. Alright, we'll take our Drake Familiar and put it in our sideboard for now. Take our Terraformer. Put that in our sideboard as well, but it's fine to play if we have to. So our sideboard currently has a Boros Garrison and 2 possibly playable cards. We need more enchantments for it to be real good. It's nice that we're in a pretty good spot in Pack 1. These 10 cards are real solid. And if we can have 2 more packs go about this strength, we'll be in a great spot. You know, you end up with 3 Ribbons of Night. Not really. Alright, and Shred Memory will go ahead and pass. Okay. Surdrake's also not awful. It's definitely the kind of card that you're happy to have in your sideboard and can be super relevant. Just a 5-mana 3/3 Swamp Walk can be really, really strong in some matchups. You don't normally see creatures with Land Walk, but even when we see modern creatures with Land Walk, like, they don't usually have a ton of power or toughness, just because it's so easy to lose to them. Okay. What is Woebringer Demon? At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. If the player can't sacrifice Woebringer Demon, I'm not sure how good that is or not. But my next pick would be a Veldikin Entrancer, and I'm willing to try a risk. I could also see taking the Putrefy here. There's a decent chance that you can pick up the green to splash it, and it is a premium removal spell. That said, I always like trying cool things, and Woebringer Demon looks kind of cool. Alright, so Face Fetter's coming in this way, which is pretty crazy. Also the Dismisser, which I like quite a bit. Compulsive Research, another high pick, but I'm going to take the Aqueduct. Fixes our colors, and more importantly, the lands in this set the bounce lands are essentially 2 for 1s. They're 2 lands in 1. You just need one other non-bounce land for it to be basically a free 2 for 1. Or it costs you 1 because you have to miss a land drop that comes into play untapped. The reason it wasn't as good in Modern Masters is that format was a lot faster, and some of the decks didn't even want to have them, like the Affinity deck. So it wasn't quite as strong there. Like, the slower decks, the Black-White Rebels deck wanted the bounce lands, but most of them didn't want the bounce land, which was odd. It really pushed down the power level on them. Okay, so I could either take Drift, Tidewater Minion, or Peel. I don't want Peel. I think I'd rather have my first Tidewater Minion. Yeah. I'd rather my first Tidewater Minion than my second Drift. Let's just go ahead and put this over here. We could take a second Consult or our first Clinging Darkness. I think I'd just rather have a second Consult. No, I'll take my first Clinging Darkness. Alright, so we've got Signet, Tatterdrake, Consult. Let's take our first Signet. The thing about Consult is this deck is already kind of slow, so you don't have a ton of time to do other slow things. Alright, so Stasis Snare or Muddle. I don't think I have anything great on 2, and I already have a lot of 2-drops, so we'll take Stasis Snare, but I'm not sure I'm going to play that. Alright, I can take Clutch, or I can take Peel. The life loss is not particularly relevant. Still, I'm willing to try it out. Okay, so we can take Brain Spoil or another Lurking Informant, and with the amount of bigger creatures and stuff I think I'm going to take the Lurking Informant again. Alright, we'll take the Snapping Drake here, but plan not to play it. And we could end up in a spot where we're running more creatures and more aggressive kind of attack-based stuff. Just depends on which direction we go. Things like Woebear, Demon, Snapping Drake, Dimir Infiltrator to a less extent, Sadistic Augur Mage are all the kind of cards that want to attack. We'll go ahead and set these over here. My sort of aggressive camp. Perplex or Carrion Howler? Carrion Howler attacks for 4 if it's unblocked. But Perplex is really nice against some of the ones. I'd rather just have a creature if I'm not sure. Take the Rotworm in case we end up playing that color. Probably not playing green, but just in case. Second Drake's Familiar. How many enchantments do we have real quick? 1, 2, 3. 3's not terrible. It's not enough to play these Drake Familiars yet, but it's not terrible. Okay. So, looking at our cards, we've got 3 repeatable mill effects, and I think we need like 2 or 3 more to really be where we want to be at. Okay, so there's a lot going on for us here. We could take Bottled Cloister, but I don't like that as much with our Pill from Reality and our Clutch of the Undercity. We could take Telling Time. Undercity Shade is pretty solid. Stinkwood Impas too, but I think I'm just, and so is Dimir. I think I'm just going to take the second Dimir Aqueduct and just be in a great spot to just pick up whatever I really want to. This really sets us in a position where we don't have to prioritize other lands. We'll run 1 or 2 more bounce lands if we get them, but now I don't have to prioritize them over other picks. And I think my next pick there was probably like Dimir Infiltrator or Veldican Entrancer, and I feel like I can get one of those a little later. People will run bounce lands even if they're both off color. So, wow, we could have had two-face fetters. That'd been pretty awesome. Do I want a second Tidewater minion? Tidewater minion or Turion? Turion fixes mana and draws you a card. Tidewater minion is just a big body, so let's take a second Tidewater minion. We could take a Remand. I like Remand. Melican Dismisser was also a pretty good card to pick up there. But I just like having a couple of interactive cards. This is interesting. I could take Hunted Phantasm, or I could take Veldican Dismisser. Now, Hunted Phantasm gives them 5/1/1s, but I have a lot of toughness creatures that blank those already. Veldican Dismisser, on the other hand, plays really well with Peel from the Reality and just blocking in general. Let's go ahead and take the Dismisser. Okay, so Junk Troller is a good blocker. I think I'd just rather the second Peel. Okay, so we've got Flight of Fancy or Surveilling Sprites. Let's go ahead and take our Flight of Fancy, and this opens us up to the Drake Familiars. Let's not play against Flash Conscription. Sort by for the mana cost. Okay, so I can take Convolute, have a pretty solid counterspell. Undercity Shade, which is a strong attacking card, or another Infiltrator, and I think I'll just take another Infiltrator. I'll take the Terrarion here, although I don't think we have to run it. So we've got 2 Signets, 2 Informants, 2 Infiltrators. Start making some cuts soon. I don't think we have anything we want to splash for. We'll take a second Sewer Dreg for the sideboard. We want to take another Signet so we can get to 4 pretty consistently. I think that's why they were second side of Sewer Dreg. Let's not play against that. Chant of the Vizugati is not a nice card. It's one of the powerful Convoke cards. Your opponent can be tapped out of mana, play a Convoke spell, and that always feels bad. Anytime your opponent can play spells while being tapped out of mana, or use other things as mana sources, is a pretty powerful spell ability. Okay, we'll take our first Perplex. Probably not play it main board. So it's better out of the sideboard against the more controlling decks that have big hands. They can't afford to discard their hand. Alright. We definitely have plenty of cards. Okay, so we're going to run 17 lands and 2 aqueducts. So we need to make some cuts. Do I have enough cards to support Drake Familiar? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. But I don't like returning one of them. That said, it's pretty solid. So I can play Drake Familiar, which makes me want to play aggressive cards. Because then you can just beat people to death. And since we only have 3 ways to mill people, that's probably the way to go. So if we're on the beatdown plan, I still like Veldican and Transfer just because it blocks well and it adds an alternate win condition if the board stalls out. This is a tough spot. I really don't know what to cut here. Let's look at some different builds. That's what we'll do. Okay, let's look at the one that doesn't run a lot of creatures and is about locking people out of the game and winning slowly. Snapping Drake. Mage. Probably don't need 2 Dimir Infiltrators. Probably just want 1 Drake to go with our other ones there. Then my win condition is 2 Lurking Informants, a Veldican Entrancer, and 2 Tidewater minions to go with either of those. That's okay. Okay, so what do we got this direction? We're trying to beat our opponents to death. I don't need Drift. No, we could probably just cut an Augur Mage. I'd rather have something that could help me trade through the air, able to block a little bit better than a 3-1. 2 more cuts. See, I don't like that I have Woebringer Demon, but I only have 12 other creatures. I think somewhere I should have definitely taken 1 more Entrancer. That'd be a big gain here. Got 2 draw 2 effects and the 2 Drake Familiars to go with it. I could drop a Drake Familiar and just run Flow of Ideas. I think I like that better. We've got 2 Infiltrators. I like how they can get my Lurking Informants, and I like how they can block decently. Got 1, 2, 3 instants, which isn't great, but it's not terrible either. 1 more cut. Should probably be a 2-drop, right? I like the Tidewater minions because they lock up the ground well and they let me really increase the clock to mill my opponents out. Could be the clutch, but I like having 2 pills in a clutch. 4 instant speed things to work with is pretty nice. It could be an Augur Mage. We're only running 10 creatures then. None of which are particularly strong, other than Tidewater minions. And we don't have any unconditional removal, but the stasis cell is okay. Six, let's go. 7 black sources, I need 1. Oh, actually. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 black sources. That's actually plenty. Alright, so this might be too few creatures. It's been a while since I've played Ravnica, but let's see how this goes. Our goal is to drag the game out and mill our opponent out. Let's see if we can pull it together. Oh, here we go. We lost the die roll. You do want to play first in this format usually, even if you are slower, just because being able to play and use a bounce land is pretty effective. Yeah, I can keep this. It's not stupendous. But we have 2 bounce lands in the deck, so. Our opponent is playing black. Alright. Yeah. Okay, and we'll go ahead and cast our Infiltrator. That'll force our opponent to use the Roofstalker White to give it flying if they can. If they can't, then they're basically barred from doing anything. And the next turn we can play Lurking Informant and play Aqueduct. And we'll go ahead and not attack, because I don't want to trade my Lurking Informant, and I don't want to trade 1 damage for 2. Next turn we'll have access to 4 mana. Let's go ahead and cast our Drift. And again, we'll go ahead and pass, because we don't want to trade 1 for 2, and they can attack for 5. This way they have to spend 2 mana just to get in through 2 damage. Alright, they've got an Entrancer. I think we're going to start using our Informant to keep their hand bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and start setting their hand up to be poor. Yeah, we'll put that into the graveyard. Giving them selection is just worse than giving them anything else that they draw off the top. Oh, let's go ahead and F3. We actually want to be able to peel. It's unlikely that they do anything interesting, but it's important to be able to peel if you need to. Alright, next turn we'll play a Tidewater. And we'll let them mill us 2. So this flow of ideas might not be the best in this match, depending on how many mill effects he has. Yeah, we'll let them keep lands. Depending on what the next creature card they play is, we might actually just try to win with Tidewater minion damage. Yeah, okay. Sure. Alright. Let's continue to ensure that they draw cards that are less than relevant. Yeah, let's go ahead and put that card that would totally make us lose in the game into the graveyard. So basically, if it would deal damage, it gets that many 1/1 counters instead, and you mill that many cards. Okay, so we're in a bad spot. We really need to kill that Entrancer. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not enough yet. Let's go ahead and play our Signet. And we'll go ahead and peel from reality the Entrancer to buy us a turn. Yeah. No, I like just playing the Tidewater. So our opponent is milling us faster. I got rid of our second Lurking Informant, which is kind of rough. But we are preventing them from getting relevant cards. Hopefully. Alright, so they can no longer just attack with everything. They can only attack with some flyers. They can't give the white flying an attack for 4. Oh. What are we seeing them play here? Hopefully it's not like a disembowel. Clinging Darkness. Well, that's not great. Well, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's go ahead and play Flow of Ideas. Okay. We could have played the Clinging Darkness instead, but I think I'd rather have more of a clock to prevent my opponents. And we're definitely still going to keep using Lurk Informant. Alright. So we're going to lose 4 cards here, go to 6 cards. I think we're going to get milled out. Oh. It's a big mistake letting them draw a card there. We'll go ahead and peel this turn. Yeah. Alright. And as you can tell, these games take a little bit of time as well. We only have 19 minutes left. Ribbons of Night is gone, and that was the card we really needed going on here.